Hello everybody and welcome back to the Gundam GQuuuuuX episode vlog review. If you don't know what this is, I don't know why you're here at episode 9 starting out, but basically I've just watched the new episode for GQuuuuuX and I'm going to just give my thoughts about it. So, before I do any spoilers or anything, what did I think about episode 9? Overall, I thought this was a pretty good episode that poses a lot of interesting questions, and man, I really wish this show was more than just 13 or 12 episodes. I think it's 12 episodes, because the amount of stuff they're gonna have to cram into the next 3 episodes is just astronomical, and I hope that they can pull off a satisfying ending, but we will see. So anyway, to get into the plot of the episode, we start out with Machu doing her first atmospheric entry and freaking out. But it's a good thing that the GQuuuuuX cockpit has these like big huggy arms, which I think that's the first time we've seen those, and they're kind of cool. I'm trying to think of what else you would like use that for while piloting, and maybe it would be useful to hold stuff, like you could have it hold your drink while you're flying around. That'd be cool. Also, this is the first time that we've seen the fact that the GQuuuuuX has a core fighter style setup, I'm pretty sure, where the cockpit can kind of eject from the rest of the mech and fly around by itself. So that's interesting. That splits apart from the main Gundam body, which falls into the ocean, and Machu crash lands. But it's okay, because Lala soon is watching from a mansion wearing an outfit that would make Char think of his mother. Machu wakes up and has finally gotten to Earth, luckily with no broken bones, and finds herself at a place called the Cabas Estate. She sees that the estate is surrounded by armed guards and meets a couple of maids who tell her that the mistress that they serve knew that she would be arriving, because she is the seeker of the Rose of Sharon. Also, that a lover will be arriving soon. The Cabas Estate is actually a brothel that appears to cater towards people with a lot of money and highly ranking Zeon officers, as we see. We then get a flashback to the previous day, where Machu is given Haro and her phone back. She has about 1,000 texts from her mom and a few others. She then meets with Shalia Bull, who tells her that he wants to know everything about Shuji Ito and his possible connection to Char. I think this is the first time we've heard Shuji's last name as well, so wonder if there's any relation to Junji Ito there. Would Shuji in a different life be drawing horror manga? She's told that Shuji's goal is to seek the Rose, an anomalous object that appeared in space near the moon but was lost during a battle during the One-Year War, which I believe it was alluded to before, and we heard Caecilia talk about the Rose disappearing from their base during Char's Zek Nova during the Battle of Solomon. Machu kind of remembers that Shuji once said he needed to go to Earth to find the Rose, so Shalia surmises that Earth is where it must be. Machu figures that if she goes to the Rose, she'll be reunited with Shuji, and she receives a mysterious text from the unknown sender telling her that the Rose will bloom right before they seemingly unlock Machu's door. Who could this sender be? Could it be Shuji? Could it be Lala on Earth? Could it be Shalia Bull? Could it be Amuro? Who knows? It could be anybody. But the crew see her leaving, and Shalia Bull, who's monitoring the texts because they're spying on her phone, says that they should let her go and see what happens. Bull does wonder who could be the powerful new type that could be sending Machu the texts, so it's probably not him, although I guess he could just be lying. Out of the flashback, Machu goes to meet Lala on a hill, and man, the colors in this episode during the sunset and during the version of the Kira Kira that we get to see are just so good. This show, at the very least, is very pleasant to look at. Lala asks Machu why she's there, as the Rose is not located here. Machu says she's looking for a boy that seeks the Rose. Lala says that she's jealous and reveals that when she dreams, she can see other timelines where she was in love with Char. In the OG timeline and other UC timelines, I suppose, Char visits the brothel and falls in love with Lala, taking her away from the mansion. She says that space is where her life truly begins and where she can actually be free, and this is a parallel to Machu believing the same about going to Earth. We do get an actual reference to Amuro when Lala tells Machu about him, although she never says his name, and like at this point I'm wondering if this show, like in the contract to work on this IP, was Studio Kara just told like, do not name drop Amuro, fuck you. We will not have Amuro be involved in this. We do not let him be in any more Gundam because we forgot about him after Char's counterattack. She mentions how she fell in love with both the pilot of the White Gundam during the war and Char because they were both pure souls. She always meets Char in her dreams over and over again, but she can never stop him from dying during battle. Though in the OG UC timeline, she does throw herself in front of an attack that kills Char, so I'm wondering if, at first I thought that when she dreams she sees the original Mobile Suit Gundam show, but now I'm thinking that like she might see other timelines because Char doesn't die, although it could just be that Lala thinks that he dies because she's the one taking the beam saber to the chest or whatever. They get interrupted by the guards saying that Lala's lover for the night has arrived, and she says, you know, it's all just a dream. And man, that is unfathomably sad, being forced to dream about what could have been all your life, and just knowing that it's not going to happen. Although, I guess Lala probably doesn't know that Char has disappeared in this timeline. I think the jury is still out on whether or not he's dead. I don't think that this version of Char is dead, so I guess we'll just have to see. Later that night, Lala's maids come up with a plan, believing Machu to be the one that can take their mistress to space to fulfill her dream. The other women in the brothel are in on it too. I'm assuming they don't get treated very well here, seeing as how they're under armed guard, and they set fire to the mansion that night so that Machu and Lala can escape. These two maids that are just like standing on the hill being like, fuck this place, watch it burn. They're my new two favorite characters. They get to the core fighter of the GQuuuuuuX before they're confronted by the brothel owner, and Lala refuses to go, saying that she has to stay there and wait for Char. I mean, that does suck because I wanted Lala to go with Machu and have a space adventure, but there is a guy pointing a shotgun at her face, so I kind of get it. Lala tells Machu to leave and get to the Rose, which is more a command to the GQuuuuuuX really because it flies away as she wishes, ignoring Machu's pleas to stop. But of course Lala is still alive in this timeline now, so she probably will pop back up in the story later. Machu wakes up the next morning after flying in the core fighter, and she finally gets to see the ocean floor as the core fighter dives deep down to recover the GQuuuuuuX's main body. They find it resting on a huge structure that Machu realizes is the Rose of Sharon. She has a new type flash and sees the pilot inside, who looks just like Lala. The GQuuuuuuX returns to the surface only for the Sodon to arrive, and we see that this was basically all a plan by Shalia Bull to have Machu lead them to the Rose. A bunch of Zeon ships and mobile suits then dredge the Rose out of the sea, revealing a mobile armor that looks all distorted. Now, the thing that they dredge out of the ocean is the mobile armor that Lala piloted in the original anime, which was called the Elmeth, I think, and it was basically like an upgraded Kikaruga, and I believe it had bits. It was one of the first mobile armors that they started using Psychomuse in back in the original Mobile Suit Gundam, because it was near the end of the show, and Psychomuse stuff got used more in Zeta. But it's interesting to see that here, and it's also interesting to see Shalia Bull mention that the Elmeth is a prototype that was never built in this timeline, so there's no way that this thing can be from this dimension. It is a dimension hopping machine of some sort, or well, not the machine didn't initiate the dimension hopping, but it's not from here. And even more strange is that inside the Elmeth's cockpit is a woman that looks just like Lala and is frozen in an eternal sleep. So that leaves us with like a bunch of questions for how the rest of this season could play out. I think there's going to be an inevitable conflict between Kycilia and Girin's forces, and also Shalia Bull's weird plan to kill them both. Now again, like I said before, my first thought here was that this is the original Lala from the UC timeline, but the original Lala got killed pretty hard. It wasn't very ambiguous. Like, she didn't disappear or anything. I'm pretty sure the Elmeth, like, exploded. I'd have to go back and watch the scene of her dying again, but... So, I don't know if this is, like, a Lala from a different timeline that appeared here because of a Zek Nova, because we know that the Rose of Sharon disappeared from the lab because of Char's Zek Nova at Solomon, unless that was just a huge coincidence. So I'm just wondering if the Zek Nova has some sort of, like, timeline / dimension hopping attribute to it. And I don't know how I feel about that. I'm, not a huge fan of, like, multiverse stuff. I think that it starts to really cheapen the story when there's, like, a bunch of different universes with a bunch of different versions of the same characters and shit happening. But if it's done well, then this is basically the best case scenario for a show that is essentially, like, 98% UC fan service. If I have another prediction, I guess it's that they probably... Either they're not going to show Amuro at all, like he just wasn't important in this timeline, or he'll be saved for the last episode. I'm still kind of holding out hope for a Camille cameo, although maybe Amuro is the one that's sending the text to Machu. I guess that's definitely possible, though. They would have a lot of explaining to do if that was the case, I think. But if I have to guess, I think episode 12 is when we might see Amuro and Char pop back up. I don't really know if you can base a show around Char as hard as this show has and not have him go Amuro at least one time. I think it's illegal in Japan to do that. So we might see him, we might not. I think the jury's still out. I just personally think it's just, like, really funny that they might have a grudge against him for some reason. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this vlog review of episode 9 of Gundam GQuuuuuX. I will be back next week with another episode and a review, a full-on retrospective review of the Tomino show Brain Powered, so be on the lookout for that. Of course, if you enjoyed, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. And if you want to see other stuff that I've done, you can go ahead and look at the gaming channel, which is linked in the description, where I am currently actually playing through Ape Escape, pretty much a blind playthrough for the first time, so that's cool for a PS1 game. And also I'm playing through the Oblivion remaster. So if you like Let's Play channels in the vein of, like, 2012-ish to 2015, which is just a little bit more of a chill experience, then you can go and check that out. Otherwise, thank everybody for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you again soon.